Bowling Green and the surrounding area has long been known for its karst topography, attracting thousands of visitors each year who embark on cave tours and explorations that make up the unique geology that shapes the landscape around Mammoth and Lost River Caves. But along with the natural wonder and beauty of karst do come unique problems for the city of Bowling Green, such as treating stormwater runoff. For this very reason, a simple water treatment plan was devised at Lost River Cave to treat stormwater before it was returned to the earth and the groundwater below. The Lost River Constructed Wetlands has not only proven an effective wastewater treatment project, but has gained national attention for educational and research opportunities.
Bowling Green is a very unique place. Somebody who studies cave and limestone areas cannot feel that their resume is complete until they come to this area. In Bowling Green, we have more stormwater injection wells than just about any place in the country. A stormwater injection well is a well that is drilled down until you reach a bedrock cavity, call it a cave, and so you run all of your stormwater runoff from the surface down into one of these dry wells, that's the local title, and it goes down and ultimately goes into the groundwater and then eventually ends up in this area in the Barren River.
We've known that expansion of 31W has been coming for quite a few years, and Dr. Crawford was the one that wanted to incorporate the constructed wetlands at Lost River Cave to help treat stormwater runoff, because they knew when you expand a road, a lot of water comes off a highway during a storm event, and a lot of that was going to be directed to the biggest storm sewer in town, which is Lost River Cave. He wanted to get this wetland established and treat that stormwater before we discharged to the cave.
Dr. Crawford invited the Army Corps of Engineers to take a look at the project, and they were very interested in it. From 2001 to 2003, they helped with the engineering. They really got involved with the project.
They were going to use it as a demonstration project for stormwater treatment in urban environments. So the money was going to be there from the Corps, but unfortunately we got the war going, and all the Corps dollars went to efforts in Afghanistan and Iraq. Dr. Crawford came to me, started kicking around the idea of finding other funding sources for this wetland because we knew it was an important project.
So that's when the city of Bowling Green stepped in and picked up the threads of this project, and it became the Wetlands Project.
There are several ways that you can treat stormwater runoff. One of them is to use a constructed or an engineered system. These are called storm scepters, vortechnic units, or whatever. And basically those things are designed to remove debris, that would be cigarette butts, leaves, limbs, and things like that, as well as some hydrocarbons. Another way to do it is to do a retention pond, and a retention pond is something that's just built, dug out, and then the water runs into that and then is allowed over time to infiltrate, and it's filtered, and then some of the pollutants are removed by the vegetation. Constructed wetlands even better than that, because you have all of the water that's there, you have all of the plants that are there, and when the water runs off, the plants and the soil actually remove it, and the effectiveness, sometimes they can remove as much as 80% of the pollutants. And if you look at a manufactured system, sometimes they will not remove more than 30% of the pollutants out of the stream. So constructed wetlands are the way to go if you can afford, if you have the means to do that. But to start doing these kind of things and look at these innovative technologies that are coming along, I think is our greatest hope for solving the problem of keeping our groundwater clean and making sure that we don't have contaminant spills that end up in the groundwater. See, the problem is in a karst area, groundwater can travel miles a day. In a non-karst area, when the groundwater sinks into the ground, it may only travel inches per day. That's typical, inches per day, but in cave and limestone areas it can travel a mile. So if you have a spill, you might only have to go in and dig up dirt in a 100 square foot area a foot deep, and then you can take it off to a landfill or some other place where it can safely be handled. But if you're in a karst area and you have a spill, the water goes into the ground and the contamination goes into the ground, and you can contaminate miles, square miles, in a matter of 24 hours. So doing things like this is the greatest hope that we have.
This is a unique project. I spent about 2 years really looking into this project to see if it would work at Lost River Cave, and I first started searching through the internet and talking to different universities across the country to find out what kinds of wetlands projects were in development, had been developed. But a constructed wetlands is quite unique in this country and very unique in karst. As far as I know, we're one of the few, if not only, constructed wetlands in a karst situation. And I'm very excited about it because there is so much of a partnership here. Through the transportation department, we have the city government involved, and we have the Western Kentucky University involved, as well as the private side, which is the Friends of Lost River, who will be, their contribution has been the land that it is built on and the fact that we will maintain this project in perpetuity. So we'll be responsible for the ongoing annual upkeep, replacement of plants throughout the years, and making sure that this runs smoothly.
Public Works has been involved since the beginning in designing the retention basin and bringing in consultants and contractors to do all the design work. We've been working in concert with our contractors. Scotty's is the contractor for the DOT basin, and S&R Construction, and the engineering firm that designed the wetland.
I certainly didn't really realize the impact that the project was going to have on Bowling Green, and even on myself, until after it was awarded to us, and we really got to looking into it and realizing what the project was all about. Just a very interesting, unique project.
We basically started earthwork right off the bat to get all of the topsoil stripped off. Started excavating for the wetland itself. We hit rock pretty early in the project. Normally we would blast for rock if it was convenient, and there were funds in the project for that. We chose not to due to the karst elements in the area. So we chose an alternate method of excavation there with a hoe ram.
Once we excavated it out down to the plan specified grade, we installed a 40 millimeter thick PVC liner. It's basically it's a membrane that keeps any water or material from passing through it to enter or contaminate the groundwater below that liner. After the liner was installed, we actually completely backfilled the hole back up with clean topsoil. Okay, the reason for that is the topsoil will serve as a filtering material plus a bedding material for the plants to grow in. These plants actually thrive on the contaminants in the stormwater. They eat the contaminants and filter the water as it goes through the system, and by the time it makes it to the pool on the other end of the system, which is called the micro pool, the water is supposedly supposed to be clean enough to drink, and then it's injected back into the cave system.
One of the things that was totally different for this project versus other wetlands is the actual using the State Trooper Cave to possibly support the water system needed by the wetland during the dry summer months. The unique features of the wetland project start with the stormwater runoff that comes off from 31W Nashville Road into the state basin there. In the event that there's no water coming out of that, the cave pump will automatically force water into the wetland. There's a certain water level that fluctuates through the wetland. There are floats at the end of it that when the water level drops below a certain level, it forces the cave pump on, forces water into the basin, and then forces, once that water level rises up, it forces it into the wetland, and it kind of force feeds itself continuously to make sure that the plants get the amount of water that they need.
And there's not a city in the country that relies on a cave system below them for their storm sewer like we do. So we've decided to be aggressive with our stormwater program, and projects like the wetland at Lost River Cave is an example of that. This wetland is It's not required. You know, we could have just left the DOT basin there and then drained that water from the basin into the cave. And there would have been some treatment there, but it wouldn't have been to the degree that, you know, the resource that we have there at Lost River Cave really warrants for our situation. So that's part of the reason the city's funding this project and why we're doing a kind of above and beyond with our stormwater program compared to other communities, because of our reliance on these wells and the sensitive nature of the terrain we're on. Well, the city of Bowling Green's under a mandate, as all cities our size across the country are, to minimize the impacts of stormwater runoff, what we call non-point source pollution. When it rains, you know, we don't have a pipe coming out of a building or a sewer plant that we can go out and try and treat that water before it's discharged. Non-point means roads, rooftops, your backyard. All those things are non-point source. We can't go somewhere and figure out a place to treat, you know, contaminated water. So the government's mandate was, you know, communities the size of Bowling Green across the country have to develop a program to minimize the impacts of stormwater runoff to the maximum extent practicable. You know, there's 6 areas that we want to focus our efforts on: public ed involvement, illicit discharge, construction sites, post-construction, and then in-house operations. Within each of those control measures, the city is responsible for taking certain steps that, to the maximum extent practicable, minimize the impacts of contaminants when it rains. Because, you know, when you've seen people throw their cigarette butt out the window in an intersection, or people dumping their oil, or just picking up after your pet. You know, when it rains, all those contaminants on the ground get carried with stormwater. And in Bowling Green, it gets to that cave very quickly and to Barron River very quickly.
You know, you have many tens of thousands of people going to Lost River every year. And if they go there and they start, oh, this is a wetland, this is something we can do to clean up our groundwater, then it can benefit this whole region and any place in the world that has cave and limestone areas. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but 40% of the United States east of the Mississippi River is karst, 20% of the whole country is karst, 1/3 of Europe, a massive area of China, every major continent, with the possible exception of Antarctica, has karst in it. We're talking about 25% of the world's population get their drinking water from karst. So these technologies, if they prove effective, it can have a massive benefit, you know, across the globe. One other benefit is that I can take my students in my hydrology classes, my water resources classes, over and kind of show them what's going on. We could actually, you know, we could take stormwater that's running off the road into it, measure pollutant levels in that, and draw water from the constructed wetland, and see how that's, you know, what kind of improvement we're getting. So that's a direct educational benefit for our engineering students and the geology students as well.
One of the things I love about living in the city of Bowling Green, and I've been here about 17 years now, is that over and over I find that the people in the city of Bowling Green and the leaders of the city of Bowling Green think about the future, and they're planners and they're dreamers, and this is another perfect example. They're thinking about the future. They know that we need to take care of our future. Our drinking water is important. It's going to become more and more important as time goes on. Clean water is going to be one of the hot button issues of the future for the entire world. And here is Bowling Green stepping out, taking care of something that is going to be important for all of us down the road, as it has so many times. And this project is putting Bowling Green in the forefront for the entire state and in many regions of the country. And I'm so proud that our leaders and our community is doing this for the people who live here.
I think the city of Bowling Green is doing a really great thing. They paid for this constructed wetland, and I think that's great. Before they paid for the water quality unit they put on Bypass Cave, which is a manufactured system. So they're kind of testing these different methods to see how they work. And so, you know, they're doing that. They have outreach. If you can't go to a movie in town, if you get there in time to see the commercials up front, you will see Bowling Green, you know, keep it clean, Bowling Green. And I really believe that Bowling Green is living up to the ideal of what a green community should be.
If you have any further questions about this or any other spotlight on Bowling Green, please contact City Hall at 393-392-5251 3,000.